Hello and welcome to iGCSE Success. And if you're new here, a big hello to you. I'm an English teacher and I post content here on YouTube to prepare students for their Cambridge First Language English exam. So today's video is a bit of a story time, except it's not a narrative this time. It's a piece of descriptive writing that I wrote I think a couple of weeks ago, and I've just not had the time to hop onto YouTube and create a video with me reading it out. So for the First Language English course, everyone is required, to sit paper 1 along with paper 2 or the coursework component. If you are doing paper 2, then you have a choice between completing a narrative or a piece of descriptive writing. If you are doing paper 1 with the coursework component, you have no choice. You have to write both a narrative and descriptive piece. However, irrespective of what route you are taking, it's important that your descriptive writing skills are up to par, because even if you choose to do the narrative piece, you are going to be using descriptive writing skills. Now, I don't want to go over all of the features of descriptive writing again, because I'm pretty sure I have recorded a video looking at the skills needed, and I've gone through an exemplar piece of coursework as well. However, it is important that you are acutely aware that narratives and descriptive pieces are very different, although of course there is some overlap. I'm sure your teachers have drummed into you the show don't tell method, the zooming method, maybe starting with a wide angle shot. Some teachers, certainly I do anyway, refer to it as the photography method. But put simply, a good piece of descriptive writing focuses on a variety of images and zooms into certain sensory details. And of course, within those paragraphs, you need to think carefully about your vocabulary, what adjectives you use to modify your nouns, what verbs you use to modify your adverbs, for example. And I would just avoid using that pesky I voice, because chances are you will slip into a narrative. And lastly, and I've said this before on many of my videos, write what you know. Take something ordinary and make it interesting. With that in mind, I have written a descriptive piece looking at the first day of high school, something which I'm sure we can all relate to. So as I read the piece, just think about how I have zoomed into certain sensory descriptions, how I have used vocabulary sentence structures for effect, and how I have used certain structural features effectively. So without further ado, let's take a read. The antiquated school was a gateway to another realm, one which I question whether I was prepared for. The jarringly painful bell rang, beckoning my soon-to-be reality. Young children began to dart from every direction towards the crimson-painted doors. It was time. Older students were reluctantly exchanging hugs and farewells before forming several orderly lines. Teachers towered over the younger students, who appeared almost mouse-like in comparison. As they awaited complete silence, the bell let out another cacophonous screech, which signalled the odious headmistress to make her daily appearance. The imposing arched door to the entrance of the school soon swung open. There she was, the formidable beast from hell. The beast made barely audible grunting noises while simultaneously spraying those closest to her with their acrid saliva. Through the grimy windows, exasperated staff could be seen haphazardly hanging things up to prepare for the day ahead. The beast started to usher people in. It was time to enter the unknown. It was the first stop. Peeping through the window, which had numerous famous scientists pretentiously stuck to the glass, the excitement was palpable. Small groups of students were eagerly grabbing their pristine white lab coats, ready to masquerade as budding scientists. Soon, students were carefully taking out their equipment and scribbling down lengthy equations. Unexpectedly, a thunderous bang sounded from within, followed by a blanket of smoke, which soon enveloped the students. An eruption of laughter ensued, accompanied by students ecstatically clapping. An array of test tubes carefully lined the desks of the students, each one filled with a different fluorescent liquid. They were truly mesmerizing. Slowly, delicate bubbles started to form, followed by faint pops and hisses. It was time to move on. It was the second stop. Through the window, a well-polished guitar was hanging proudly on the adjacent brick wall. Carefully crafted paper planes were launched across the class, followed by muffled and mischievous giggles. Some students energetically danced on the tables as others slammed their chubby fingers down on the keyboards lined up against the black back wall. Tucked away in the corner on a giant magenta beanbag, a carefree student was sprawled out. Periodically, he could be seen fist pumping in the air in perfect unison with another, who carelessly strummed away on his out of tune guitar. The carnage continued as a DJ button on one of the keyboards was mistakenly pressed, resulting in the class erupting into uncontrollable laughter. The teacher returned to the classroom and students scattered. It was time to move on. It was the third and last stop. An assortment of laminated mathematical equations were proudly displayed around the garishly painted window frame. The silence in the classroom was unsettling. Towards the front of the class, a seemingly eccentric teacher scanned the classroom whilst taking big gulps of her piping hot coffee. Donning a pair of bright purple spectacles which balanced precariously on the tip of her nose, she began to dart in and out of the perfectly formed rows of desks, making a concerted effort not to spill her lifeline. Lone students penned lengthy answers to the perplexing mathematical riddle which had been confidently scrawled across the whiteboard. Some looked on in awe, whilst others wished for the ground to open up and swallow them whole. Tapping the dainty bell on her perfectly organised desk, this signalled the end of the lesson. Frantically, the teacher scribbled the answer to the convoluted riddle. A room of sighs followed. It was time for home. Standing outside of the antiquated school, once again, the school bell made its final farewell. With a deafening ring, the doors violently flung open, and a never-ending stream of students triumphantly charged out. It was time to escape. Worn-out teachers, with gritted teeth, attempted to force out a goodbye of sorts to the students before dragging their weary feet back to the school. The formidable beast could be seen desperately ushering the last stragglers out, as if she was on a mission to lock the school as swiftly as possible. The sea of students soon vanished, and the last of the older students made a desperate run for the ramshackle school bus. The beast let out one final grunt, and on went the padlock. Closing time. And that's today's story time. If you like these kind of videos, don't forget to comment below, like and subscribe, do all of that usual business, and I will see you again very soon. Until next time, bye bye.